Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Hi, this is Eartha, and welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. I'm so glad you're back. I would like for us to start our session today with a little bit of mindful relaxation, listening to music, and a little bit of imagery before we get started. Thank you, Web Talk Radio, for allowing me to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to my listeners. Thank you to my producers for making it possible for Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to come to you wherever you are at. Let's get started. Now, breathing in your nose, blowing out through your mouth. You're in a position that's comfortable. Your feet are on the floor. Your hands are resting gently on your knee. Your eyes can be closed or open. You're paying attention to the breath. Breathing in, blowing out. Breathing in, blowing out. Paying attention to your breath as you breathe in and blow out. Keep it up. Breathe in, blow it away, and you're coming back. You're coming back. We're here. Now, let's talk about perception. Last time, we talked about perception and how much our experiences and how we see things really has a lot to do with our perception. Today, we're going to take our conversation about perception a little further. When we talk about mindfulness, what I want to begin is when we talk about mindfulness, it doesn't mean that we are believing everything is okay. And everything is okay. Everybody is okay. Everything is just all right. Because sometimes things are not okay. Sometimes if we allow ourselves to pay attention and be aware of what's going on in our bodies and in our thoughts, we can realize that certain things that's going on around us is affecting us differently. And maybe that's okay. But maybe we have to see things in a different perspective. As we grow and as we gain more experience, we can look back and say, I had a hard time with X, Y, and Z, but now it's okay. Why do we go through problems or situations, and at that time it is just difficult sometimes? But as we work our way through the situation, we look back and we can see what we have learned. What if we approached a problem or a situation with the approach of, I'm going to see what I can learn from this? It doesn't make the problem go away, but it helps us in our perception in how we're handling the problem. Maybe. Let's take this a little step farther. Nothing when I was in college, and I really test was a point of anxiety for me. I would really get nervous. I don't know about you, but when you are nervous, sometimes you cannot see the right answer. It's the emotion of anxiety and nervousness is really, really captivating sometimes, and it really changes how we see things. And I was always frustrated with myself in allowing myself to get that nervous. And that was one of my challenges. That was my challenge, and I made it into a goal that I would overcome it. And there was always someone that would say, well, if you studied hard enough and if you knew the material, you would know what the right answer was. And so you just didn't study hard enough. And I might have to say I disagree, because the environment of a test-taking environment can be intimidating. And the skills of test-taking is very important. So once I was able to figure out what happened with me, and maybe, if there's any students listening, I would freeze on the first few questions. I mean, I could barely put my name in the name block. What's my name? You had to put all the information, and I knew it was anxiety. So one of my instructors, very, very wise advice, said, just keep going. Don't stop. Because what happens is you waste a lot of time on some of those beginning questions, and then as you're trying to take your exam, you're out of time. And that's more frustrating. So I trusted them on it. And they gave us lots of opportunities to try. Believe me, I tried it. I would get so nervous. I couldn't start. The first few questions couldn't figure out. I skipped it and kept going. And lo and behold, maybe the third or fourth question, I was relaxed. I was able to figure the questions out. Sometimes the exams were, 4 or 5 steps to complete before you get to the answer. And, I found myself, I was able to go through those 4 steps. I could finish the exam. Then I would go back to the first few questions that I would miss. And, I would look at the questions like, how could I miss this? How come I couldn't figure out the right answer? Because now I could. And the reason why is because of this test-taking anxiety. And so I kept that. I learned from it. So when I sat down to any exam, when I was working on my master's, I had that skill that, okay, I'm going to be nervous. This is not going to be a problem. This is all mine, my challenge. I know what I have to do. And so when we approach different problem situations like, this is mine, I know what I need to do, I'm going to take a breath, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to tackle this challenge. And what happens is that you're able to follow different steps to conquer or overcome whatever challenge it is. So you have to kind of think through. You've got to stop, breathe, and that's why I wanted us to start off our session today with breathing, and then your mind calms down and you're able to really think about different alternatives that you can use to tackle a problem. Here's another example of changing perception. I have a seed of an avocado. And it was a great avocado, and you've probably seen this also before, where you take toothpicks and you put it on the side of the avocado and let it take root. Okay, well, so I wish I could show you this, but this is about perception, and so I'm going to ask you to use your imagination and kind of picture as I describe what I'm going to talk about. So I did not put toothpicks in the avocado seed. It's a nice round seed. It's very dark, and what I did was I wrapped it in a moist towel, a paper cloth rather, and put it just in a small little glass container. It's open to air. I keep it moist. Well, lo and behold, what I have noticed, and I present this to my students last week rather, the nice round avocado seed is very, very shiny. It's very black, and it has cracks along the sides. And at the bottom of the avocado seed, you see a little teeny tiny white root. It is so tiny, but it's beginning to come out of that avocado seed. And I have to tell you, it took a long time for that change to occur. I look at that avocado seed and I see this is sometimes how problems are. They are hard. They seem like they're not spouting or sprouting anything good. It is just something that is in my way. But if we nurture ourselves in how to deal with the problem, just like how we nurture a garden, we give the garden fertilizer, good soil, rain, sunshine, and that soil is able to help a seed break through that shell, that outer tough shell, and out of that seed comes a beautiful plant. I also planted a peach seed, and it took forever for that peach seed to sprout a little seedling, but it did. And so I thought about how when we handle problems, it's like a seed. It is strengthening. It is tough. We take a breath and we move through it. We move through it. We nurture ourselves with good sleep, good food, positive words, good company, making sure we're aware of how our body is responding as we move through this change or this problem. And we look back and reflect what is real and what is a perception. What is a perception is based on, again, our experiences or our point of view. Sometimes when we see something from our point of view, it is true. What you're seeing is true from your perspective. If we took the world and we could hold it in our hands, a person on the east side of the globe would see something different than someone on the west side of the globe. For example, time. If it's 3 o'clock in the East Coast, it's a totally different time on the West Coast. So if two friends wanted to talk to each other and they live on opposite coasts, they would have to take in consideration the time. And so that perception, we have to realize that from where we're standing, that might be true. So we have to take the next step and look at things from another perception. Just like if you had a friend who lived on the opposite coast where you're at, you would say, oh, let's wait till it's such and such a time, 10 o'clock, before we call, my friend, because over there it's too early or it's too late. That ability to take in consideration another person's perspective, that compassion, that kindness, is the break of the seed. That's the sprout that's coming out. And so then when we see things from another perspective, and our perception changes, and we can advance through our problem or our challenges in a whole new level. That's just so cool. So, perception. It's a little bit challenging to teach in this media, but I think we've started something new. Thank you for joining me. Have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.